Supply chain is always the thing, right? There's nothing that's more important to my customers than having exactly what they need exactly when they need it. There's plenty of capital out there. You know, the owners that have
it's just not moving.
It's not moving.
It's not moving.
There's a whole pool of investors that came in and got involved in multifamily that weren't your classic owners, right? They weren't these long-time family-owned assets that go back 40, 50 years. Those new investors haven't lived through some of these cycles like some of the more legacy asset owners have. But to recognize this is the good time. Number one, the demand is there. Everything I've ever learned about economics is if the demand's there,
build the supply.
Build the supply. I think there's endless opportunities for trades and skilled trades contractors in multifamily. We prepare our branches for our customers. So we make sure that we're putting in inventory the things that are most important to our customers so that
Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. I'm excited. Thank you.
Hey, no, thank you for coming. Want to ask you about Fix It. How is it so far for you?
It's been surprisingly, shouldn't say surprisingly, I expected it to be good. Partners here, it's well represented, great leaders on the maintenance side of our industry. It's been something that's really, to say necessary is an understatement. Maintenance is such a huge part of what makes multifamily successful. And it's great that we finally are getting the platform, as we were up here on the platform, to highlight how important these teams are, the critical role that they play in the success of building fantastic homes for our amazing residents.
Yeah, it's very important for me to ask you, how do you feel from a service supplier side? How do you feel about the involvement of other suppliers that actually doing business directly with maintenance, like general contractors or electrical companies or any type of company that actually caters to maintenance specific services? And is there any value for them to get involved in the future? Because obviously this is not a one-off. Fix It wants to become a very large event, as large as possible for the industry, since our site level employees, about 50% of them are maintenance.
Is there a value to contractors that deal specifically, like directly to, like, absolutely. So one of the challenges that we have, or one of the shortcomings that we face as supplier partners, as we're salespeople out, pitching a service or a product, is we automatically assume everyone knows why we're here and why we're in business and what we want to do. We often do a poor job of actually getting directly aligned with our customers and truly understanding where their needs are. Because a lot of times the problem that gets communicated to me up front doesn't need the solution that's most easily thought about. It's a deeper issue, right? The peel the onion back, and you find that there's really a bigger issue that's rooted somewhere else. So to come in an environment like this, listen to these leaders, and to get into thought leadership and the conversations and really kind of peel that onion back and understand, these are the root cause problems. There's an immense value to it. It doesn't matter if you're a painter, floor covering provider, maintenance supplier, the value is tremendous because, beyond the relationships, how much time have we gotten to spend with all these folks in the networking parts of it? So outside of the networking, building of relationships, you really get to understand truly what are the challenges that they're facing, and how does your product or service fit into that challenge to kind of create that true partnership.
From the other side, looking at things from the other side, what are some things that property management companies could do better in a relationship with suppliers like your company?
So beyond fixed, which this has been a great avenue for that, you think competition, right? That something a positive thing that came out of our COVID experience, where we got into an environment, a world where we really didn't know, we couldn't see down the road, right? The future wasn't exactly clear because we were in an environment we'd never experienced before. owner operators, owner managers started collaborating more about, hey, how are you handling this problem? We've got this resident issue. What are you doing about it? Municipal issues like the town is saying, I've got to do this. How do we respond? So this is an environment similar to that where as owner managers, owner operators, yes, you're competing for residents, but I mean, all the stats show the demand is so high for housing. The supply is low. It's different in different submarkets, but for the most part, there's plenty of residents out there. We're all facing a lot of the same challenges. Let's collaborate, see how we can, rising tides raise our ships, right? How can we work together to raise up this industry and kind of fight back against some of the bad noise that's out there? So there's a lot of collaboration that happens here that would, greatly benefits. I've seen, maintenance VPs of facilities, maintenance directors off to the side talking through things together. And that's again, part of what makes this industry so amazing.
When it comes to challenges, Bert, what are the main challenges that you see in 2025 the property management companies are facing?
2025. So I'm a government nerd, right? I chair my state's government affairs committee. I think a big challenge we have this year, there's a couple. We were lobbying in March on tax code issues, the tax credit that's there that started under President Trump's first administration, that it's supposed to expire today. Or not today, this year. If that benefit goes away, then we lose a lot of the investment incentive in multifamily with LLPs and LLCs. And so at a high level, that's a big challenge because we need multifamily. We need real estate to continue to be the great kind of golden egg that it's been. It's super attractive, kind of the unicorn investment that can't go wrong. So at a high level, we need that. So we need the taxes not to that to go away. On the surface level, or getting in a little deeper, staffing continues to be a big challenge. So how do we use technology to better streamline what our on-site teams are doing? Because there's still a lot of classic ways we go and approach our business. There's still a lot of, this is just how we've always done it. So we'll continue to do it that way in spite of, I think every major conference I've been to over the last 4 years has had a degree of centralization. Like, we keep talking about it, we're not doing a great job of being about it. So we've got to implement true centralization where it makes sense. There's a lot of areas that you can't over-centralize. You can't lose touch with your customer, your residents. You still need to be able to provide that personal touch. So with staffing being the issue, a big part of that is, how do we bring people in? How do I replace the folks that are either aging out or stepping out of the industry that have all the knowledge and experience that make us so great? And so I know you're attacking that with everything you're doing through the education side. And so we need more of that. We need more avenues that we can attract younger folks, younger professionals, get in this industry and give them the proper training so that they can be successful and we're not recycling people 60 days, 90 days after they get hired.
A lot to unpack out here, and I want to start with the need of more housing. Of course, developers have been facing a lot of pressure from the government level, whether it's local, state, or federal. What I mean by that is that there are states in which I'm hearing 38 cents of every dollar that a builder spends on building new product goes to regulations. It's not a lot of incentive for someone to build properties when they had to pay that much. Like, only 60% of what they're investing goes into the building itself.
Yeah, that's
and then
40% is
40% goes to bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of ridiculous. And I'm just thinking as a human, right? As human nature tells me, is not a lot of incentive, is not a lot of drive. What are your thoughts on that?
We have to make sure that there's not a tax, there's still a tax benefit of investing your money in something like real estate with LLCs and LLPs. So that has to maintain. So it still needs to be attractive. We still need to show the value of how strong multifamily continues. Even with the down economy, multifamily is not struggling as a whole. There's areas that aren't doing as well, but it's still a good investment. It's everything's cyclical, right? we have to advocate for this industry. So, in March, we're in DC advocating at the federal level. I live in North Carolina. Last week, we're in Raleigh advocating at the state level. We need more of that. We need to speak up more, because if it's not our voice being heard on the challenges of development, it's someone else's voice going to be heard opposing development. And it's really hard. I mean, we had successful conversations with our state legislators, and they recognize that you can't truly address the housing shortage without positively looking at density solutions. And I can't bring density solutions to a housing problem without multifamily. You can't continue to throw single family at this big issue because the demand is too high, especially the areas that we live, Georgia, North Carolina, the Carolinas. So many people are moving out of areas into those areas, and we need the homes available to them so that they can live and thrive in those communities. You have to advocate. You have to speak up, eliminate the barriers of development. A lot of them are just senseless. And so in North Carolina, one of the things that we're doing is trying to peel back some of the local control that puts too many layers of bureaucracy, and just go back to the state. Okay, what's mandated by the state, and let's let the state dictate the development and how it's going to happen across.
We touched on challenges for operators and developers. What are some challenges that you see for supplier partners this year and beyond?
Wow. Have you heard anything about tariffs?
That's
Maybe
a good one
a
to
little
start. That's a good one to start.
So, from a supplier standpoint, supply chain is always the thing, right? There's nothing that's more important to my customers than having exactly what they need exactly when they need it. Since I don't have a crystal ball and I can't accurately predict it, I have to have a variety of inventory available across the country and easily accessible to my customers so that they can fulfill whatever maintenance requests are coming down from their residents. Because at the end of the day, we're serving the same customers. I'm indirectly serving the residents just like they are.
100%.
So making sure that I stay connected and finding as if the tariff issue continues, how can we find other alternative ways to minimize price increases? How do I increase efficiencies within my customers? How can I help them streamline, standardize products so that they're not buying as large a variety of products, right? So that they can increase their buying capacity so then I can reduce the price of certain things. So, really just managing the supply chain is, what I foresee as my big challenge for this year.
Pricing perspective, obviously there's challenges with the tariffs and the fact that, the tariff situation changes on a daily basis, sometimes more than once a day, between signing, not signing agreements, tariffs or no tariffs. So it's a very up and down situation. Nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody knows. I mean, whatever you know now might not be when we get out of this
It'll change.
podcast, it could be different.
Yeah.
It could be another decision or another accord that's being signed that we had no idea about, just got signed. So that's definitely an issue. What are the challenges you see for suppliers? I'm going to put this a little bit in a context, right? Because we're not seeing a lot of transactions. We're not seeing a lot of properties changing hands currently. And then we're not seeing, I think, in my opinion, development as much as it's needed by the certain areas, certain populations with the population growth. So with that context, what are some other challenges besides just the tariffs?
You can't look at the economy if you look over the last 16 months, 20 months, you can't say that it hasn't improved, right? So we recognize there's been improvement, but there's little pangs of trouble that impact investor, everyone that's involved in all the transactions. There's still a confidence issue. So how can we address the confidence issue so that, because there's plenty of capital out there. The owners that have
it's just not moving.
It's not moving.
It's not moving.
So something's got to be done with all the equity that's building up in these, right? And someone we're going to be forced to make moves in it. So I think we just have to find or shine the light on the right news that helps enhance the confidence of everyone that's out there, especially if you look at who owns multifamily developments and how that's changed in the last, really since 2013, 2014. There's a whole pool of investors that came in and got involved in multifamily that weren't your classic owners, right? They weren't these longtime family-owned assets that go back 40, 50 years. Those new investors haven't lived through some of these cycles like some of the more legacy asset owners have. So I think for those folks, they just have to kind of weather this. They've weathered the storm, I believe, and just regain that confidence that it's going to be okay. And it's still a solid investment. And that the more that we let go of, holding on to those things so tightly, we let it go. I mean, that's, my faith has told me that forever, is like, with open hands, you can receive more, right? Like this, you can't receive anything. So I think that's a big part of it. It's more of a feeling than it is like a fact aspect.
Perception is reality, they say.
100%.
So now we talked about challenges. I want to go and focus on opportunities next. What are some opportunities for developers and operators in this market?
Wow. I mean, number one, demand. I mean, it's always supply and demand, right? So I'm seeing things in markets that were really hot or really successful 10 to 15 years ago are coming back around. It's a pretty simple equation to follow. You look at the markets that did a ton of development, or they're bringing a lot of new units online last year, this year, they're going to struggle a little bit, right? Because we've got to absorb all that new development. And that new development was delayed because they started construction probably in 2019, 2020. So you had COVID delays. You've had supply chain delays. So those units coming online were delayed. So things were stepping on each other as far as we probably looked and we're staggering these developments. They all end up coming online at the same time, which has a negative impact temporarily in a market or a sub-market. So it's all going to get absorbed. There's still plenty of people out there. The job market's still strong. Unemployment's still super low. All the indicators are kind of there that, look, the worst is kind of behind us. And I think to some degree, a lot of folks are waiting for it to get better. And I think this is the better. I think we're in the better. It's not ideal. It's from a financing standpoint. It's not cheap money to borrow like it was, 2000 up until 2021, or 2022. To recognize this is the good time, and that number one, the demand is there. So everything I've ever learned about economics is, if the demand's there,
Build the supply.
build the supply.
Yeah, that's it. It's not that complicated.
It's not.
People tend to make it sometimes too complicated, or like it's something that only a few could understand. If you just understand the basics, I think this could take you a long way. What are some opportunities that you see for supplier partners?
Let's go contractors for one. Whether you're a general contractor or you're a trades contractor, again, the staffing issue that's so well published around, and staffing issue is not limited to multifamily. Everyone's experiencing staffing troubles, but skilled labor, the maintenance professionals that drive the resident satisfaction more than anything. It's a tougher and tougher person to find and hire and be successful. The tradesmen out there, the HVAC electricians, plumbers, paint, like every aspect of residential, commercial trades, can look at multifamily to say, hey, there's huge opportunity for me right there. And then finding ways to partner. It's doing business a little bit different than maybe you're used to with a single family residential customer, but recognizing the volume of opportunity that you have, and then finding ways that you change your model a little bit to be a better partner to a multifamily customer. I think there's endless opportunities for trades and skilled trades contractors in multifamily.
What are some opportunities specifically for Chadwell this year and next?
For Chadwell Supply, as we continue to grow, I started with the company in 2013. We were a cute regional supplier, kind of kicking the big guys around a little bit. As we grow, and we've been super blessed, we've got great ownership. The Chadwell family, that we're still privately held company, a great few men last name Chadwell, that ultimately get the last call on a lot of things that we're doing, continue to invest in our company and invest in our growth. And we're going to open up new markets into some areas that we haven't been to before. And that's going to allow us to knock on some new doors that, and what's great about this industry is every new place we go, we're not that new, because it could be a company that's headquartered in Atlanta or Phoenix or Dallas, and they've invested, they're managing communities in these new markets. So it's not brand new, because we kind of come in as a known commodity. Like, folks know the Chadwell Supply brand and they demand it. They want the extra level of service, the extra touch points that Chadwell Supply brings. And the difference in that, like, we're truly focused on, I was a Boy Scout, right? So be prepared. We prepare our branches for our customers. So we make sure that we're putting in inventory the things that are most important to our customers, so that they don't have those delays in delivery and delays in service, which ultimately have that negative impact on servicing their residents.
You're talking about the staff shortages, the labor shortages, especially qualified labor, right? Not just maintenance, but other areas of, I guess, trades in general speaking. Now, the jobs are changing. I think that every single job today, it's not gonna be done the same way 5 or 10 years from now. And some of them will be radically changed, and some of them will be disappearing altogether. I'm just thinking of an example. I think I mentioned this to you last night. There's a company that builds a robot that hangs drywall, and it does it at a rate of 1,500 square feet per hour currently. Imagine having 1,000 robots. They might be doing an okay job today, but based on the information that they're gathering while doing the work, how fast that thing can improve, because all those robots are connected through technology. And actually technology is being built in such a way that, like, learns from its mistakes and updates so quickly, not like back in the day, with less and less human involvement, that a whole entire job is gonna disappear. I don't know if it's gonna take 5 years or 7 years or 3 years, but you're not gonna have drywall hangers eventually, right? I think every single job in the world is going to be challenged, and there's gonna be some level of technology that's going to do a part of that job or the entire job, and then that will disappear. However, that doesn't mean that there'll be less jobs necessary. I think that there will be a need for people to manage those robots, to program them, to repair them, to keep them going. So, it's gonna be another skill set. Someone was saying, well, I heard many people saying this is not AI taking your job, but it's going to be a person that knows how to leverage AI that's going to take your job. What are some thoughts that you have on that, on technology in general, and how that's going to change labor?
Yeah, so I'm not a doomsday guy. I believe that, first of all, everything about Western culture has been about, and technology, since the creation of civilization, like our culture has been, how can I do this easier, right? So every piece of technology has been about everything that we do in our daily life. How can I make it less effort? How can I make it more efficient, right? How can I do more with less? And this is no different. I've experienced other cultures in this world that don't care about that stuff. They're like, if it's not broke, no need to fix it.
Yep.
But AI and technology, and I think AI is a term we overuse. I think it's become a little bit cliche of, like, we try to use AI to define every aspect of technology, and it's not. AI is a specific thing and has a specific role in what's growing in all industries. But you're exactly right. And I don't look at it as putting jobs or people in jeopardy, but just in our society, business has to be efficient to be successful. Whether it was the creation of the calculator, right? That was a piece of technology that made someone's job easier and cut a lot of time out, right, of processing things. We were talking today, the smart technology, taking digital payments. It's been around for a long time, but taking digital payments stopped that resident from having to go somewhere to get a money order, bring the money order to the office, The office has to date stamp it. Then it has to get deposited in a system. And then it has to actually get physically taken to the bank to get deposited. So all those steps now, we've cut that out, and now there's more time available to then take that professional and focus their efforts on some other aspect to make the community better, make their team better, make their company better. You know, I see AI and technology serving in the same aspect. Like you said, there's gonna be some roles that go away just because, I mean, how many roles existed 50 years ago that we don't have in our world today, right? You know, somebody had to install the hitching posts outside all the restaurants to tie the horses up to. They've gone away, right? So there's going to be changes inevitable. There's going to be some rough ground, but at the same time, like that, you're going to have an individual need that maybe your role here isn't as necessary, but your skills as a person and the way that I can invest in you, I can bring and take your, like I can take your effort, your personality, your attention to detail. These are things that I can't train in you. I can take your enthusiasm and I can give you other things to make you a better part of the team and still move forward with you.
When it comes to your company, what are some things that get you excited about new technology that's out there that you bring in to improve your processes, improve the way you deal with the part of the business that's customer facing, and then make things easier for them as well, streamline, whatever that might be?
So I'm gonna go back. You mentioned the challenges to development, right? They had the 38 cents to every dollar. Mm-hmm. They have to cut through bureaucracy. Chadwell Supply, in an analogy to that, is, you know, I've got direct line to ownership. So when it comes to like, hey, I've got an idea, I can have a direct conversation with somebody last name Chadwell that's over that, you know, silo of our business to say, hey, I've got an idea, something I saw. I want to run this by you, see what you think. And we have the ability to, you know, if we like that idea and really think it's going to be positive for us, we can start initiating change now. And that's an advantage I have over, you know, the bigger a corporation gets, the more layers you have, you get that 38 cents to the dollar that you have to kind of swim through, get to the real change agents that can really drive the difference. So I see Chadwell Supply, we're on the baby stages of technology as a company, mainly because we're meeting the demands of our customer, right? There's a lot of opportunity out there that is cute, but quite honestly, I can't say that my customers are demanding that level of technology. So let's not waste time chasing things that really don't benefit, and let's do more listening, interacting, partnering with our customers to say, oh, now I can identify that, like, that's what we're coming here for, right? To really peel back that onion. What's the real problem? And let's get to that. Let's change it at the root instead of, you know, chasing these other flashing lights that come up that we get a cute solution for.
Appreciate the time, Bert. It was a great conversation.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.